conference in Data Science, E-Learning, and Information System, ICADEIS 2026. Okay, my name is Zalina Fatima Azara, and I'm honored to serve as your moderator for these sessions. Today, we have a series of remarkable presentation that will explore transformer-based natural language processing and data analytics. Okay, before we begin, allow me to outline the rules and format for this session. Okay, for the presentation rule, first, each presenter will have 10 minutes to deliver their presentation. At the 8th minute, a reminder will appear indicating that there are 2 minutes left. At the 10th minute, I will state time is up and the presenter must stop. Second, each presentation will be followed by a 5-minute questions and answer segment. I kindly ask all attendees to hold their question until the Q&A session begins. Third, if a presenter is not ready to present within 1 minute of their scheduled time, we will proceed with the next presenter. The presenter who was not ready will be rescheduled to present at the end of the session after all other presenters have finished. And lastly, during other presenter session, please mute your microphone unless you are permitted to speak. Okay, this is about the presentation rule. No, without further ado, let us welcome our first presenter, Mr. Alvin Abrar Putra. He will present a paper titled Comparison of Indobird and XLM Roberta Performance in E-Commerce Product Review Sentiment Classification. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Alvin Abrar Putra. You have 10 minutes. Mr. Alvin, the floor is yours.
I would like to introduce myself. My name is Alvin Abrar Putra. I am a student from the School of Computing Telkom University. I developed this research together with my lecturers, Mr. Kemas Muslim Laksmana, who are lecturers at Telkom University. I will present our research with the title Comparison of Indobird and XLM Roberta Performance in E-commerce Product Review Sentiment Classification. This research focused on comparing two transformer-based language models, Indobird and XLM Roberta, to determine which models perform better for sentiment classification on Indonesian e-commerce reviews. This presentation consists of 4 sections. First, we introduce the research background and motivation. Second, we explain the methodology, including the dataset, pre-processing steps, and model architectures. Third, we present and analyze the experimental results, focusing on the comparison between Indobird and XLM Roberta. Finally, we conclude the study and discuss directions for future research. In recent years, the rapid growth of e-commerce has generated a large volume of online product reviews. These reviews provide valuable insight into customer experience, satisfactions, and opinions. However, manually analyzing such vast and unstructured data is inefficient and time-consuming. To address this challenge, sentiment analysis is widely used to automatically classify reviews into positive and negative sentiments, helping business better understand customer feedback and make informed decisions. Despite significant advance in sentiment analysis, Indonesian e-commerce reviews remain challenging to process due to the frequent use of informal language, slang, abbreviations, and mixed Indonesian English expressions. These variations can create semantic ambiguity and reduce classification accuracy. Therefore, the study compares two pretend transformer-based models, Indobert and XLM Roberta, to determine which models is more effective and robust for sentiment classification of Indonesian e-commerce reviews. This slide shows our research workflow. We start with the SMSA dataset from IndoNLU, perform pre-processing and dataset splitting, fine-tune Indobert and XLM Roberta using the same configurations, and finally evaluate and compare their performance using standard classification metrics. This study used the SMSA dataset from IndoNLU, a widely used benchmark for Indonesian sentiment analysis. The dataset contains 11,000 training samples, 1,260 validation samples, and 500 testing samples labeled as positive or negative. To prepare the data, several preprocessing steps were applied, including task normalization, lower case conversion, label encoding, tokenization, and dynamic padding. This process helped improve text representation and ensure consistent input for both Indobert and XLM Roberta during training and evaluation. These slides present the two pretend transformer models evaluated in this study, Indobert and XLM Roberta. Indobert is a monolingual model trained specifically on Indonesian text, allowing it to capture language-specific pattern and context. It is workpiece tokenization and spatial tokens, CLS and SEP, for sentence representation and sequence separation. In contrast, XLM Roberta is a multilingual model trained on over 100 languages, including Indonesian. It uses sentence-based tokenization and benefits from multilingual training, making it more capable of handling informal language, slang abbreviations, and Indonesian English code mixing commonly found in e-commerce reviews. This table compares the performance of Indobert and XLM Roberta on the SMSA test dataset. Both models achieved strong results, demonstrating the effectiveness of transformer-based approach for Indonesian sentiment classification. Indobert achieved an accuracy and F1 score of 95.6%, while XLM Roberta outperformed it with 97.3% for both metrics. These results indicates that XLM Roberta has better generalization ability and is more robust when handling unseen review data, making it the superior model for Indonesian e-commerce review sentiment classification. This slide presents the class-level performance of both models. Indobert achieved F1 scores of 0.956 for the positive class and 0.957 for the negative class, while XLM Roberta achieved higher scores of 0.973 and 0.974, respectively. These results show that both models perform consistently across sentiment classes. However, XLM Roberta demonstrate better overall performance and greater robustness in handling diverse language patterns, including slang, abbreviations, and Indonesian English code mixing commonly found in e-commerce reviews. In conclusion, both models achieve excellent performance on the SMSI dataset. However, XLM Roberta outperformed Indobert, achieving an accuracy and F1 score of 97.3%, which indicates stronger generalization capability for Indonesian e-commerce sentiment classification. For future work, both models can be evaluated on other domains and cross-domain sentiment analysis tasks further assess their robustness and adaptability. That's enough. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alvin, for the wonderful presentation. We will now open for the 5-minute question and answer session. To the audience, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Any question from the audience? Since there are no questions from the audience, I would like to ask the questions, Mr. Alvin. Mr. Alvin, product review often contains slang word and mixed language. Why do you think SLM Roberta was able to handle this informal review?
Okay, thank you for the question. I believe XLM Roberta was able to handle informal reviews better because it was written on every very large multilingual corpus containing diverse language patterns. As a result, the model learns richer contextual representation and can better understand slang, abbreviation, and mixed Indonesian English expression. That's my answer.
Okay, I have another questions. Boots model achieve a very high accuracy of over 95% for the remaining 5% of incorrect classification. What kind of review were the hardest for the model to understand?
Okay, uh, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay, from the accuracy, what kind of reviews were the hardest for the model to understand?
Oh, the hardest model. The hardest models for the reviews to understand were likely ambiguous reviews, where the sentiment was not clearly positive or negative. For example, some reviews contain both positive and negative opinions in the same sentence, making it difficult to determine the overall sentiment. This ambiguous case may account for a portion of the remaining misclassification. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. I think enough for the questions. Okay, we go to the next presenter. Okay, proceed our presenter. Please welcome Mr. Roderick Felixson, who will present a paper titled Data Mining Correlation Analysis of Indonesian Political News Sentiment to Gold Price. Okay, Mr. Roderick Felixson, you have 10 minutes. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Salina. Now I will prepare my PowerPoint to show in this meeting. Okay, greetings to committee chair and fellow researchers. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to for the opportunity to present our journal at Telkom University. My name is Roderick Felixson, and these are my group mates, Ida Bagus Yogeswara Via Chandra and Michelin Ganesia, as well as our supervisor, Kenny Jingga. And we are from Bina Nusantara University, and today I'm going to present about our journal entitled Data Mining, Correlation Analysis of Indonesian Political News Sentiment to Gold Price. In today's presentation, we will talk about what is the introduction of this research, what are the methods that we use, how about the results that we came up for, and also the most important things, what is the conclusion of this research. Okay, now let's get started with the introduction first. In this research, we chose gold as the object of research because gold is seen as a desirable investment option by global investors for its growing value and wide range of applications, especially in our country, Indonesia. Indonesia's affluent investors occupy the top position in gold ownership among 11 other countries, with an average allocation of around 25% of their portfolio. This preference is largely driven by the perception of gold as a safe haven asset. Well, of course, as we know that gold has long been considered as a safe haven asset because its value has historically remained stable or risen during economic crisis. So, what is the impact of the geopolitical impact on the gold? Well, the geopolitical tension, such as high political and economic uncertainty, increases doubt amongst investors, which can override rational financial decisions. Study one strongly supports this by demonstrating that an economic political uncertainties index is a significant predictor of gold prices. Well, some of previous study also has done a research about this topic, but their studies mostly focus on a more general topic. Also, there's only limited studies researching data specifically from Indonesia and in Indonesian language. And also, we found limited insights on the effects of political sentiments to gold price. From this background, we know that the aim of our research is to investigate the relationship between the gold price movements and the Indonesian political news sentiment using Indobird model with a correlation-based data mining approach. Next, we will discuss about the method that we use in this research. First, we use the dataset range from 2020 until 2025, and we got the Indonesian political news from the official news website such as Kompas, Detik, etc. Around 32,450 data. And also we get the gold price dataset from the investing.com website. To analyze the sentiment, we use the fine-tuned Indobird, which is it's an ordinary Indobird model to classify the news into positive, neutral, and negative. But we use the concept of active learning to improve the labeling quality of the model. On how the research works, here are the steps on how we process the data. Firstly, we manually label the data around 30% of the data sets that we have, and then we process the data. Second, we fine-tune the Indobird model and use it to classify sentiment from the unlabeled news data. After that, we aggregated the news sentiment data and gold price data quarterly, and then we do the correlation analysis. Last, we present the knowledge we obtained from the research. After the sentiment classification, sentiment indicators are integrated with gold price data and analyzed with four methods, such as asymmetric impact analysis, regime-based correlation analysis, transition analysis, and OLS regression model. Now we will discuss about the result that we have obtained from the research. First, here are the graph that we get from the EDA result. Some of the key points that we want to show are that first, negative political sentiment dominates Indonesian political news. And second, several periods of strong negative sentiment are followed by increases in gold prices. And third, the relationship is not consistently linear. Based on that result, we come up to use the asymmetric analysis and regime-based analysis to analyze the correlations of the relationship. And the result from these both methods are there is no significant direct correlation, and safe haven effects are not visible through simple sentiment polarity. Since we haven't got any significant result, we jump to another method, which is transition analysis. The result from this method that we found a pattern, which is gold prices consistently increases after transitions toward negative sentiment dominance. And lastly, we use the OLS regression model as our last method. The key point from this method is adding sentiment variables to improve the model performance. It is shown on the adjusted R2 score on baseline and extended model. The baseline model only got 0.83 score on the adjusted R2, while the extended model got 0.87 on adjusted R2. The purpose of the OLS regression model is to measure how much sentiment variables can statistically explain variations in gold prices. Precisely, because OLS is simple and its assumptions are strict, when the results remain significant, this proves that sentiment has genuine explanatory power that cannot be ignored. From all of the methods that we use, we found that there is no strong direct correlation. And we also found that negative sentiment shift is matter because gold tends to rise afterward. And lastly, sentiment improves explanatory models. As an interpretation, political sentiment does not directly move gold prices. Instead, it acts as a contextual information signal. It is become meaningful when combined with the time dynamic, market condition, and historical price behavior. And now the last part of this presentation is the conclusion. From this research, we get some main conclusion that we want to show to you. Firstly, there is no strong direct correlation because the results show no significant impact of new sentiment to gold price movement when observed directly. Secondly, gold reacts to shift in sentiment, which is gold price tends to rise during shift toward negatively dominant new sentiment periods. And lastly, for the future research, we suggest to the researcher to explore higher frequency data and use macroeconomic variables such as dollar index and other stuff. And we suggest to explore other models such as factor autoregressive and long short-term memory. And we want to deliver the main takeaway of the research, which is sentiment is not the primary driver of gold prices, but shifts in sentiment serve as critical signals to monitor, particularly during periods of transition and market uncertainty. Uh, Thank you for listening to our presentation. Now we open to the question and discussion part.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roderick, for the wonderful presentation. Now we will open for the 5-minute Q&A sessions. To the audience, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Since there are no questions from the audience, so I would like to ask a question to Mr. Roderick. Okay, question number 1. Your study shows that gold price tend to rise when political news shift to negative. In your opinion, how long does it usually takes for the gold market to reach after a major negative news event?
Okay, thank you for the question, Miss Salina. Based on the question, I assume it depends on the condition of the market because there's a lot of variable that we can't control. Uh, for example, during the COVID-19 period, the gold, the price of the gold is tends to rise uh, more reactive, a lot quicker than another period. So, uh, but yeah, it depends on the variable that other things that we can't control, and but we found a pattern. We found a pattern that if it's shifting to sentiment negative dominance, people usually tends to buy their money into gold because it is linear to market finance behavior, which is market underreaction, which is tells about us when investor try to invest on something, they have lack of information, so they cannot react quickly. If they want to buy something or not, they need to analyze first the environment, which is it is bad or not, and if they feel it is the perfect time to buy the gold, and they will execute the investment. So like I said before, it is depend on the condition, and we only analyze the pattern.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Roderick. I think enough. Thank you. Let us now proceed to our next presenter. Please welcome Mr. Daniel Jahja Surjawan. So, Mr. Daniel will present a paper titled Cross-Lingual Semantic Search for Low Resource Language, a case study on Batak Toba religious text using NLLB and LabC. Mr. Daniel, you have 10 minutes. Time and place and time are welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Salina. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to present our study titled Cross-Lingual Semantic Search for Low Resource Languages. This research was conducted by me, Daniel, Vini, and Mary Uli Artamanuru. Okay. Sorry. Okay. The outline for my presentation including introduction, and then method, and then result and discussion, and the last is conclusion. Okay, I will start my presentation and explain for introduction now. Information retrieval for ethnic languages faces a vocabulary mismatch wall. Batak Toba is a low resource languages, meaning it suffers from digital data scarcity. Traditional search engines rely on literal string matching, which identifies results based on direct character similarity. However, when a user input a modern Indonesian query like kasih or love to find 19th century Batak Toba scriptures, literal systems fail because there is no character overlap. There is a profound prostructural and lexical divide between modern Indonesian and the archaic theoretical register of the Batak Toba Bible. To overcome these barriers, we propose three-pillar framework. First, we extract and structure unstructured 19th century PDFs into a dimensional corpus. Second, we bridge the lexical gap by bypassing English as a pivot language, using direct Indonesian to Batak Toba translation. And then third, we capture semantic context by mapping text into 768 dimensional factor, prioritizing meaning over literal character overlap. Okay, we divide the method become three pillars. Pillar one is structuring the unstructured corpus. Our first technical challenge was
Hello, Mr. Daniel.
the source material with Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Matching for, oh wait. Okay, I'll continue. The
Yes.
first syntax to extract book names, digit matching for chapters, and complex patterns to isolate first text from historical formatting. This resulted in 4 distinct dimensional vectors for every book, chapter, verse, and the primary text. This slide illustrates our end-to-end architecture. The system moves from character level similarity to multidimensional semantic direction. When a user enters an Indonesian query, it passes through the NLLB 200 translation engine, then to the Lapse embedding cloud, and finally into the Pinecone vector database. Pinecone manages the storage and calculates Gaussian similarity to retrieve the most contextually accurate Batak Toba verse. For translation, we implemented the NLLB 200 1.3b G-style variant. Unlike traditional models that require an English pivot, NLLB allows for direct many-to-many translation. As shown in the formula, the model predicts the target sentence by calculating the probability of each word based on the search context and previously translated words. This ensures that contextual memory is retained throughout the translation of religious terminology. Once translated, the text is mapped into a shared semantic space using Lapse. By utilizing an attention mechanism, Lapse transforms phrases from different languages into 8-dimensional vector. The key insight here is Lapse ensures equivalent semantic meanings, regardless of the source language or magnitude, are positioned closely together in the vector space. Okay, let's look at a practical example. The query is Tuhan menciptakan langit. In English, it's God created the heavens. The system first performed a contextual translation to the Batak Toba equivalent. It then normalizes these vectors. For this 3-dimensional example, we see a normalized Q hat by calculating the Gaussian similarity angle, which resulted in 0.752. The system successfully bridged the semantic space to retrieve Genesis 1, verse 1 from the dataset. In academic research involving religious texts, statistically metrics like blue scores are insufficient. Therefore, we establish our ground truth through manual validation by theological experts. This ensures that retrieved verses maintain the formal theological register appropriate for 19th century scriptures, moving validation beyond mere word overlap counting to doctrinal relevance. Our experimental results across 20 thematic queries show the clear performance trajectory. The baseline is Lapse only, achieve 45% accuracy. Integrating NLLB translation increased this to 55%. However, our most optimized configuration, NLLB combined with the Pinecone database, achieved 65% accuracy. This represents a significant 44% relative improvement over the baseline, proving the effectiveness of the integrated architecture. We analyzed why some queries perform better than others. High similarity range 0.70 to 0.77 were found in foundational themes like creation or forgiveness, there where rich contextual vocabulary exists. Lower similarity occur in abstract or truncated queries such as Yesus mati bagi kita, because shorter phrases often lack the surrounding linguistic data required the optimal NLP translation and Lapse plotting. To position our work globally, we compare our results to state-of-the-art benchmarks. While top-tier foundation models like CLIP or ImageBind often achieve zero-shot accuracy as low as 77.7% to 24.1% in extreme low resource challenges. Our framework's 65% accuracy stand as robust achievement. This confirms that near-optimal performance is attainable in data scarce, marginalized languages through generalization approximation. In conclusion, our system successfully captured archaic 19th century teleological structures across the modern linguistic divide. Our roadmap for future research includes domain-specific fine-tuning to deepen alignment with biblical registers, horizontal scaling to Javanese and Sundanese for broader cultural preservation, architectural evolution by integrating retrieval augmented generation to handle even more complex religious contexts. That's all my presentation today. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to your question and feedback.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniel, for the wonderful presentation. Now we will open for 5 minutes Q&A sessions. To the audience, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Since there are no questions from the audience, so I have a question to Mr. Daniel. Okay. Batak Toba religion text contain many old words from the 19th century. Okay. Did the NLLB 200 model face any challenge or difficulty in translating this old word correctly?
Okay. Actually, we don't have any challenge for using NLRB, and it is actually clearly work, and we can make it to get the data.
Okay, so there are no challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question. You mentioned adding RAG, retrieval augmented generation for future work. How will RAG help improve the accuracy of your semantic research system?
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question? I can hear.
Okay, you mentioned you adding RAG, retrieval augmented generation for the future work. How will RAG help improve the accuracy of your semantic research system?
Okay. RAG actually will improve the system in the following key ways. It is first enhance semantic precision, and then handling complex religious contexts, and then it could be contextual re-ranking and also architectural evolution.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I think enough. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Now we proceed to our next presenter. Please welcome Mr. Daniel Christopher Santoso, who will present a paper titled Embedded Gemma versus XLMR Embedded for English-Indonesian Toxic Text Classifications, Accuracy, Carbon Latency Trade-off. Okay, Mr. Daniel, you have 10 minutes. The floor is yours.
Hello, am I sound and clear? Hello, does my audio is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Does the share screen is good?
Yes, good.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you please reset the timer? Okay, thank you. Okay, I will start then. Greetings everyone, my name is Daniel from Binus University, and today I'm going to present a paper authored by me, my co-author Aryo, and our supervisor Mr. Andri, titled Embedding Gemma versus XLMR Embedder for English-Indonesian Toxic Text Classification, Accuracy, Carbon, and Latency Trade-off. This is our presentation structure for today, and let's start with what drives this research. With the development of the internet, the volume of cyberbullying is also rapidly growing, which creates the needs for automated machine learning-based solution to do real-time moderation. Recent toxic text classification research increasingly relies on transformer models. However, most studies focus on either encoder-based or decoder-based architectures, and comparisons in multilingual low-resource settings remain limited. On the other side, the use of AI is not entirely free. For example, previous research shows that training a new LLM could produce carbon emission equivalent to 125 New York-Beijing round-trip flights, which is why we need to report carbon emission, especially when a model is about to be implemented on large scale. And last but not least, real-world application that needs quite fast response time after it receives the request. Around tens to hundreds milliseconds, more accurate models are often slower. Okay, so these problems makes us need a deployment-centric model selection framework that considers accuracy, carbon emission, and inference latency suitability at the same time. So what is the research gap? Talking about diverse utilization of transformer models, no prior work has systematically compared encoder-based and decoder-based multilingual transformer as frozen text embedder under identical experimental condition across accuracy, carbon emission, and inference latency, particularly in settings that include low-resource languages. So here are our research contribution. Moving to the methods, we use two different Twitter datasets. The first is the Indonesian dataset that have around 13,000 entries representing low resource languages, and the English datasets have around 24,000 entries of data representing high resource languages. Because the label definition in these two datasets differ, we harmonize the label into binary toxic and non-toxic label. For the experiment setups, we tested 6 combinations. For text embedder, we use TF-IDF as the baseline because it requires no pre-training at all, so the computation is minimal. And then embedding GEMMA as a decoder-based transformer representation, and XLMR as an encoder-based transformer representation. Each is paired with 2 classification heads, a lightweight linear logistic regression and an MLP to test whether small non-linearities can improve performance. For hyperparameter optimization, we choose Optuna, so we don't have to try all the combination one by one, which is more efficient. And to measure carbon emission, we use Code Carbon, which monitors energy consumption in real time from pre-processing to model saving. Its combination was evaluated in 3 scenarios: in domain, cross-lingual transfer, and full multilingual settings. The evaluation metrics include macro F1 score for accuracy, kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent for carbon emission from the dataset preprocessing until finding the best parameter, including a derived metric of emission per 0.01 macro F1 score for fair comparison, and inference latency at batch sizes of 1 and 8. So these are the research pipeline. First, we do an ordinary dataset explanatory analysis. Then we do label mapping, as mentioned earlier. Then we do standard text preprocessing and label harmonization before training. And then we do 80-20 data split for the training and testing dataset. And on the training dataset that I mentioned earlier, we do another 80-20 dataset split for actual training and validation set, both using seed of 42. And then hyperparameters were optimized using Optuna. And then we do model evaluation. Okay, so moving to the results and discussion. The results of this study are quite interesting because it turns out that no single model wins in all aspects at once. Let's discuss them one by one. For Indonesian in domain, the surprising thing here is TF-IDF with MLP actually came out on top with the best macro F1 score, the lowest carbon emission, and the lowest latency. This suggests for low resource languages where toxicity traits are often tied to specific vocabulary, simple lexical features are quite powerful. For English in domains, the plot is reversed. Embedding GEMMA with MLP wins, beating XLMR by almost 9% with both LR and MLP classification model. English has toxicity patterns that are more dependent on context and phrasing, so a contextual embedder is more suitable here. The most interesting thing is the cross-lingual transfer result that are direction dependent. When transferring from Indonesia to English, embedding GEMMA won. but for English to Indonesian, XLMR won over embedding JEMA. And TF-IDF, it collapsed immediately in both directions. This is because TF-IDF is vocabulary bound, so once the language changes, the features don't match at all. In terms of carbon emission, embedding JEMA consistently produce higher emission than XLMR across all scenario. This makes sense given its larger architecture and 2048 token context window, which translates to more computation per forward pass. In terms of latency, TF-IDF is the fastest at around 1 milliseconds. XLMR is around 15 milliseconds and embedding JEMA is around 55 milliseconds. Interestingly, a batch size of 8 is only slightly slower than a batch size of 1, meaning near real-time processing with batching is operationally feasible. Based on this finding, we then develop a three-step multi-objective model selection framework. The first step is to select based on accuracy because in toxic text classification, too many false positive can limit people's freedom of speech, while too many false negatives means it's not working effectively to prevent harmful posts. The second step is to select the most carbon efficient model from all models whose performance is within a 5% tolerance to the best model. And then the third step is to use latency as a tiebreaker if there are still comparable models, because speed is crucial in production environment. And here are the best models result for each case by following our framework. Okay, for conclusion, TF-IDF remains a strong and resource-efficient baseline for in-domain low-resource language toxic text classification. For cross-lingual evaluations, substantially reshuffles model rankings, highlighting that in-domain performance alone is insufficient for assessing real-world multilingual deployability. And from a latency standpoint, TF-IDF is the fastest. Among the transformer models, XLMR is consistently outperforms embedding JEMA in inference speed. And for embedding JEMA offers the strongest low resource to high resource language performance. For future research, we recommend to report emission separately for hyperparameter search versus final training for detailed carbon emission breakdown. And then we recommend to test additional low resource languages and other social media platforms to validate the observed directional transfer pattern. And then to expand error analysis, for example, per class and subgroup error to characterize the failure models under label shift. Okay, and then I think that's all. Here are our data availability and authors contribution, and then here are our reference.
Okay, thank you,
I think that's
Mr.
all. Thank
Daniel.
you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniel, for the wonderful presentation. Now we will open for the 5-minute Q&A session. To the audience, if you have a questions, please raise your hand. Okay, since there are no questions from the audience, so I have a question to Mr. Daniel. So my question is, which model do you recommend the most for a real-time modulation system? It is TF-IDF, XLMR, or embedding GEMA?
As I mentioned earlier, both of these, every one of these model combination are actually have their own ability. They have their own plus and minuses. So in terms of low latency, I think we cannot just say that as a general best model, because for Indonesian in domain, of course, the TF-IDF is the best model, but for English or maybe the cross transfer, TF-IDF might win, but as I already mentioned earlier, TF-IDF completely lost on the both cross-lingual transfer. So I would say that for English or for English or maybe cross-lingual transfer, the XLMR is better than the embedding JEMA, but talking about the accuracy, I think the recommended models are still based on this that I show on the presentation. I think that's what I can give to you. Does this answer your question?
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Daniel. I have one more questions.
Okay.
In your result, why did embedding Gema perform much better when transferring from Indonesian to English, but drop significantly from English to Indonesian?
Okay, so I think the answer is because that embedding Gemma is trained on a more equal, well, what do you say, in a more equal size in terms of all languages, rather than focus on. Sorry, I think the one that more equal is on the embedding gem on the XLMR, while the embedding Gemma is trained mostly on English data. So that's why in terms of making representation from the understanding the representation from Indonesian to English, embedding Gemma is much better compared to when understanding from English to Indonesian, because when understanding classifying low resource data, embedding Gemma doesn't really understand the meaning at all. I mean, compared to XLMR. I think that's the answer.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Daniel. I think enough. Thank you for your presentation.
All right.
Okay, for the audience, I think all the
Thank you.
presenter have present their paper, so we can move to the closing statement. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes to the parallel session. On behalf of ICA Days 2026, I would like to thanks to all our presenter for their exceptional contribution and insight. I would also to extend my gratitude to all participants for their engagement and thought-provoking question. We hope this session has been both informative and inspiring. Okay, before we officially leave the room, we would like to have a quick group photo session for documentation. So I kindly ask to all presenter and participants to turn on your cameras if you are able to. So we can to take a photo. Okay, I will count 2, 3 for the screenshot. Okay, please give us your best smile. 1, 2, 3. Once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Lina.
You're welcome.